And I came to the floor today, Mr. President, to speak about my new bill, the Justice Act, our Republican response to the police reform. And I was sitting in my office when the senator from Illinois talked about the token legislation. On this day, the day that we remember Mother Emanuel Church and the 9 lost lives, my friend, the pastor of the church, Clemente Pinckney, the first person ever to call me a senator, the pastor of that church, a Democrat pastor of that church, says to me, my senator, 2012, December, to reflect back on the fact that I have in my phone today the text from Clemente where I said, "Are you okay?" He didn't answer because he was already dead. To think that on this day, as we try to make sure that fewer people lose confidence in this nation, to have the senator from Illinois refer to this process, this bill, this opportunity to restore hope and confidence and trust from the American people, from African Americans, from communities of color, to call this a token process hurts my soul for my country, for our people. To think that the concept of anti-lynching that's a part of this legislation to be considered a token piece of legislation because perhaps I'm African American and I'm the only one on the side of the aisle. I don't know what he meant, but I can tell you that this day, to have those comments again hurts the soul. To think about how the same year, 2015, Walter Scott, in my hometown of North Charleston, running away from the police, gets shot 5 times in the back. I sponsored legislation then, and I don't remember a single person saying a single thing on that side of the aisle about helping to push forward more legislation on body cameras. But today, this is a token piece of legislation. Because I think it's important that we stand up and be counted and make sure that we have more resources available for every single officer to have a body camera. Because as we saw in Georgia with Mr. Arbery, had it not been caught on video, in Walter Scott's case, had it not been caught on video, in George Floyd's case, had it not been caught on video, we might be in a different place. But on the other side, they're wanting to race bait on tokenism, while this legislation will provide resources for body cameras, for anti-lynching, for de-escalation training. But no, we can't concern ourselves with the families I sat with at the White House yesterday and in my office yesterday. Instead, we want to play politics because this is 2020, and we're far more concerned about winning elections than we are having a serious conversation on reform in this country. No, we would rather have a conversation about tearing this country apart, making it a binary choice between law enforcement and communities of color, instead of working for the American people, bringing the reforms to the table so that we have a chance to balance this nation and direct her towards due north. No, that's too much to ask on June the 17th, 5 years later. I started this conversation on body cameras in 2015, on the Walter Scott Notification Act in 2015. But no, we want to have a political conversation. I reject that. I reject that. And I will tell you that I believe that my friends on the other side of the aisle are serious about police reform. There's just some that are more interested in scoring political points than they actually are getting a result. Not the majority of them. The majority of them have the same heart that we have for the American people. That's where we should be focusing our attention on. Not the color of my skin, not tokens. Cool when you're out in the public. I get it all the time on Twitter. I'm used to it. But on this day, my heart aches for my state. My heart aches for my uncle's church for 50 years before he passed. And so I'm a little riled up. I sit here quietly trying to pass good legislation that was based on the House bill because I knew that if I wanted a chance to get something done, we had to do it in a bipartisan fashion. I'm not running for anything. I'm not up for re-election. I'm not trying to support someone for their victory. I'm simply saying to the families I met with yesterday at the White House without a camera and in my office yesterday without a camera, I hear you. We see you. You are not simply sitting there silent. We are working on serious, tangible, measurable results.